In 1984, Don Henley released Building the Perfect Beast, an album that blended rock, pop, and poetic introspection into one sleek, enduring statement. Henley deftly captured the tension between nostalgia and progress, creating a record that still defines an era. Stay with us for more.
Get ready for the 3324 podcast, where lifelong friends Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber share their love of all things music and movies. Dean has directed short films and is a music trivia buff. And Eric, trained in audio engineering, brings his extensive knowledge of music and film to the conversation as they discuss, debate, and celebrate their favorite albums, films, and much more.
Welcome, friends, to the 3324 podcast. Two friends chewing the fat.
Chewing
music and movies. Right?
Yes. And how are you?
I'm doing well. That's what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
Is talking about the stuff that makes us happy. The stuff
Indeed.
we've carried with us throughout our lives. You know, and for some people it's Dungeons and Dragons, it's model building, it's hunting, whatever, you know, everybody has different things, but for us it's music and movies.
That's right. And it'll probably never change.
At this point, if it hasn't, it's not going to. I don't foresee it changing. So if you're new to the show, welcome aboard. This is the 3324 podcast. It's Dean and Eric here talking about the music and movies that shaped our lives and hopefully shaped yours. And if not, give you some things to delve in and to listen to. The musical landscape is far and wide. And we're talking just about a tiny sliver. We really we live in the rock and roll.
Yeah,
we venture out occasionally. You know, when the weather's right, we'll peek our heads out and do something different. But you know, there's plenty of material, Eric.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we have shared and that we individually like, that we bring to each other, and that our guests also bring to each other. So,
well, that's the beauty of it too, is the guests bringing their own comments and introspection into it, and of course their tastes, and so we're, you know, opens our eyes a little bit and our ears to some of the things that we frankly might not have known or weren't a fan of at one point or another, and just, you know, kind of changes our minds a little bit.
Yeah.
So I always join that. You know, always keep an open mind.
Sure.
So I think that's important too. But a lot of the stuff that we, you know, as kids growing up, you know, a lot of the great music that was on the scene at the time is just, you know, sometimes, you know, some things hold up really, really well. Some things don't, but even the stuff that doesn't, there's still that dose of nostalgia attached to it. So it is part of the landscape.
I think that's a perfect segue.
Yeah.
About things that hold up or don't hold up. I think that's a perfect segue into this album, which is Don Henley's second solo album, Building the Perfect Beast. So let's do the stats and kind of get through that. So then we could talk about an album that came out, do we want to say, well, it came out in 84. What significant of life event happened in 1984? Do we want to
divulge it? I don't know.
Everybody knows, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, that's when we graduated high school. So, yeah.
The class of 84, we were supposed to be the future. It's like George Orwell's.
That's right.
1984, that's right. We were the, you know, okay. Here we are doing a podcast 50 years later, whatever it is, 40 years later. Anyway, here we go. Let's do the stats about Building the Perfect Beast from Mr. Donald Henley. It was released in November of 1984, so we were out of high school for a little bit of time already. Produced by committee. Produced by Don Henley, Danny Korchmar, Greg Ledany, and Mike Campbell. A very interesting array and lineup.
Yeah.
There were 4 singles released from this album. Boys of Summer hit number 5. All She Wants to Do Is Dance is number 9. Not Enough Love in the World hit number 34. As you see, everything is just kind of sliding. And then Sunset Grill rebounded to 22, and that's the Billboard Hot 100, Top 200, whatever they call it nowadays.
Yeah.
He did win a Grammy for Boys of Summer, Best Male Rock Performance.
Yeah.
So that's not bad.
Iconic song. You know.
Yeah, and I think the music video, I think you might have won some MTV awards for that too. That's when '84 was when all these directors were showing how artistic they can be. And
all I remember from that video is the kid hitting the drum.
Yeah, hitting the drum and the film playing behind him.
And I got to tell you, man, he's keeping that, like he's actually looking like he's keeping that beat. And it's like,
They had to work with that kid.
That's right. Yeah.
Hit number 13 on Billboard and went 3 times platinum. So 3 million. That's a nice, nice number for a second solo album, especially in light of the first one not really doing as what people thought it would. It had that song "Dirty Laundry" on it.
Yeah, didn't set the world on fire.
It didn't.
Given the fact that he came from one of the greatest groups of the 70s. So yeah, I think that people expected maybe more than they should have. And I think solo wise, both him and Glenn Frey.
I was just going to say that their first album. I love "No Fun Allowed." I think it's a great album.
Yes,
but neither one of them, both of what were the leaders of Eagles.
Yeah,
they broke up in 1980. So within 3 years, 83 I think was. Or 82 was Don Henley's and Glenn Frey was right in there too.
Yep.
You get double the fun. You get both the leaders of the Eagles both put out solo albums and both on different paths as well. Glenn Frey was definitely leaning into what his influences were,
his roots. Yeah.
And I think so he kind of started he really was diverging. And if you compare second albums. I think that's probably a better conversation would be to compare the All-Nighter to Building the Perfect Beast, because that's really kind of when although the All-Nighter didn't do nearly what this did, but it's still I love that album.
Yeah, so do I.
It's great. Yeah. It was such a great time. Like we didn't realize it. It was kind of like these guys are just making albums and kind of just putting them out there.
Mm-hmm.
And whether they did good or whether they didn't, it was just kind of, we were still grabbing onto stuff and giving it a listen and and getting into it. But Don Hale, I mean, we both, I had this on cassette. I absolutely had.
So did I. Yep.
I don't remember back then being a huge Eagles fan. I mean, I knew their stuff, but I certainly didn't have anything by then. Maybe their greatest hits. So
I think at the time I might have been a bigger fan than you. I think I did make that statement that I I think you wanted to kind of I made the ridiculous statement of maybe I think I like the Eagles more than Fleetwood Mac, and you're like,
get out of my car,
get out. And you were like, no, that was, sacrilege.
Yanking on the emergency brake. Get out.
But yeah, I think I was probably really into them at the time.
Sure.
But I was, for me, what loving the best thing about the Eagles is the vocals, the harmonies, and just the strength of that band. I think rests there. For the most part, and which is something that you don't get on the solo work, and that's what's for me is distinctively missing. It both with Glenn Frey and it's good music, but it's just that's the major component that's just not there.
Yes, even if you combined, like let's say you took 5 tracks from this album and 5 tracks from the All-Nighter, it would not sound like an Eagles album,
right?
It would there's still some things that are missing in there. But I think maybe Henley, maybe comes closest on this album because of, holy shit, the cream of the crop, the people that are on this album.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to go through it. But he literally, this is like the cream of the crop of the Southern California session people that were in bands, people that were leaders of other bands.
Right.
An amazing array of talent that Henley just grabbed. And I think we need to give props to Danny Korchmar. I think he's the unsung hero. He's like the Waddy Wachtel of like like this relationship like that Stevie Nicks would have with Waddy, Danny Korchmar is that for Don Henley, because Korchmar was very much involved with Henley's first solo album. He might even be a better guitarist than Waddy Wachtel. I think Danny Korchmar is really like very underrated.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't know, like he was with Jackson Browne. He played with everybody. And he's got a tasty guitar.
He does. And I think that was proven when I watched the reunion with James Taylor and Carole King at the Troubadour, and Korchmar was in the band. And I think he really kind of showed, because you really, at the time, you're not really paying much attention. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. For whatever reason, and this is the one baffling thing about this record, and perhaps it started with the first one, is that, yes, you just listed there's the cream of the crop, but the one thing that what do they all have in common is that every single one of these people plays synthesizer on it. This album has more synthesizer than in any friggin' prog album that I've ever heard. It's astounding to me. Like every song has a different person playing synthesizer. Each person that's involved in that particular track, Henley has playing synth. Even Henley himself plays synthesizer on the record. So it's like, why?
I can tell you why. It's not even a word. DX7. The DX7 had come out, and I think Korchmar had gotten an early, like one of the first ones off the line.
Yeah.
And if you want to know anything, anybody that wasn't around during that time and you're kind of intrigued, look up the DX7, because it was the keyboard that revolutionized it was the sound of the 80s. And this album is a DX7 album. They were getting so many different textures and sounds. And that's why you get so many different people playing it, because they're doing so many different things with it. It was, it literally was the keyboard of the 80s. There are so many albums that you could look up like on Wikipedia that are built around the DX7. And this is by and large one of them. But the key is it's not, this isn't like Flock of Seagulls. This isn't like your rhythmics stuff. It's using it to replace horns. Some of it is new synthesizer sounds. Some of it is to sound like, and all she wants to do is dance. That's not saxophones. That's not a brass section. That's the DX7.
Even though the video shows a horn section, and it's just so charming.
Like they got a music video gig. They did not play it. It was just like because when you look at the credits, there's no horns.
Right.
So all this stuff is being generated, and the Linn drum machine was the Linn 900 or i900, whatever it's called. Was a big thing. The programming of the Linn drum machine was another big piece in creating the textures and in creating especially Boys of Summer. And I just watched a video because Neil Giraldo, you know who Neil Giraldo is, at Benatar.
Right.
They were doing he was in an interview, and he's like, you know what? He goes, somebody should compare Love is a Battlefield, which came out in '83, and Boys of Summer, which came out the following year. And then a guy did it, and because they both used a Linn drum machine, and the drum tracks are almost identical, except like Henley replaced like the toms in Love is a Battlefield with hand claps, and the guy like lines it up. The synthesizers are not as close. The guitar work is the same kind of like Love is about like the same type of thing, and they're very similar. Because that was kind of that was what you were getting out of the Linn drum machine, was like kind of just rudimentary kind of programming and kind of doing what you could with it, and then building the perfect beast around it.
Yeah, but it was so new, and so different. Right. So, and it's a testament to Henley that he wanted to go so bold and just be so depart from what was, Eagles, very acoustic, very analog, very sort of,
heavy rock, heavy guitar, Joe Walsh at the end, it was like kind of a rock band.
Kind of more leaning into the new wave aspect. I know that's one of the things that describe this record as new wave. I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, in its I would call it new wave in its approach. It's certainly not new wave in its
in the genre, right? But
yeah, but in its approach, because and all these guys, we're going to go through it in about 2 seconds. When we go through the session guys, none of these guys are new wave guys. These are 70s session guys, right? So they're all kind of coming on board and embracing it. So let's do that. Let's talk about, besides Don Henley, who all was involved in this album. And Jesus, okay. Okay, so Don Henley, Danny Korchmar, who co-wrote, all the songs, or almost all the songs, had a hand in writing them. Mike Campbell, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, right? Steve Porcaro from Toto, Ben Montench from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, David Paich from Toto. Randy Newman, who is just Randy Newman unto himself.
Yeah.
Lindsey Buckingham. He does not play synthesizer. He plays guitars.
Right.
Charlie Sexton, who was up and coming at the time, he ended up playing with Dylan for I think he may have even played with Dylan when we saw him. You got Larry Klein and Pino Palladino on bass. These are jazz guys.
Formidable bass players.
Jim Keltner on drums. Belinda Carlisle vocals. Sam Moore from Sam and Dave. Martha Davis from the Motels. These were all leaders of their bands at the time. Patti Smythe, leader of Scandal in 84, 85. J.D. Souther, expert songwriter. Linda Ronstadt, Eagles, all that 70s Southern California. And Waddy Wachtel.
Yeah.
Also. This is literally a who's who of Toto, which was made up of session music. That's what Toto was anyway. They were all session musicians who came together. We should probably do a Toto album. We should probably figure out one to do.
Sure.
But, and then you've got, 2/5 of the Heartbreakers, right? You got Mike Campbell and Ben Montench. And then you have Jim Keltner, who in a few short years would be a Wilbury. So it's just, again, another one of those Southern California. It's almost like a family album. It's just all these collaborators that know each other and just kind of came in and provided all the backing for Henley. I think that's what helped fill this album out, is kind of having, Patti Smythe. You can hear her a lot on this album.
Yeah.
She's kind of there. And then you get the cynicism, which I think we need to talk about with Henley. And that's the flip side to Glenn Frey. I think that's why they made such a good team, because they were like Lennon and McCartney. They were yin and yang.
Yeah.
Henley was more of a good time, kind of heartache tonight. And then Henley is more like the cynicism, right? And the jadedness of America and, the sad cafe, the last resort. He's at his best, I think, when he's channeling that.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's really good at putting it into lyrics, but then he's really good at delivering those types of songs.
And vocal wise.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
most important is just, the cadence of the vocals and the way they're phrased and the way these words pour out.
Yep.
He's telling stories. But also reflecting on the ups and downs of America at the time. And, and that's Henley at his best, on songs like that. When I think of songs like The Last Resort and even songs like Wasted Time and, love songs and, Love Gone Bad and stuff like that. It's the times when he's trying to lighten the mood a little bit that I sometimes have a problem with. There are those little sort of rock and roll, almost rockabilly type ditties.
Man on a Mission.
Man on a Mission. Get Over It. Right. Very similar. And and the lyrics don't they kind of they may be saying something, but they don't, because of the delivery of the ways putting it out. It almost sounds slightly not up to par. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it doesn't quite have the poetic nature of that he could
yes,
on the slower tempered songs and the quality of it. You compare Man with a Mission with a song like Month of Sundays, for example.
You can't compare them.
No.
Yeah, and you make a really good point. And the thing I noticed in revisiting this album,
yeah,
is the way that Henley is singing in a different way than on a lot of the songs than he's used to. He is really straining that upper register, which he didn't really do that much with Eagles. He didn't really do it that much. He didn't really need to. The songs he was getting 3, 4, 5 tracks per album, so he was kind of playing to his strengths. But on this, like Man on a Mission, he's kind of really singing in that upper register, and you can kind of hear him straining it, and yeah, I think that's if there's any nits to pick, it's those songs like that are where he's trying. It doesn't sound natural for Henley also to be singing that type of a song,
right?
It's just kind of like we're used to you being angry.
And then the thin, like you pointed out, the thinness of the voice.
Yeah, when he tries to stretch,
the upper register is very. It tends to get very thin. And he usually, when he's in a lower tempo, it is, it's almost very. He could really kind of very soulful and very sort of like really like that sort of syrupy kind of voice just comes out, and just like I said before, like the way he phrases the words and everything. But yes, when it's very and without anybody singing with him on songs like that, it does hear it. You definitely hear it, and it's so there is no harmonies there. There's no. It's like they might maybe double track his vocals a little bit, but again, in the polish of that, But I feel like the higher he gets, the more the more it's brassy. It's very like his voice tends to be very brassy, like with the polish of the production, right? I mean, it's just sort of
Yeah, he's not a projection singer.
Yeah,
when he gets into those upper registers, he's kind of straining to pull it out, and it kind of thins. Yeah. And it gets like that. That and Driving with Your Eyes Closed are probably two of the better examples, and even parts on Sunset Grill when he really tries to go up there. But he's doing that more for effect. It's not throughout the whole song, so it's kind of okay, like within the context. But yeah, I mean, let's start with Boys of Summer. I mean, that's the song that kind of kicked everything, right? So a Deadhead sticker on a Cadillac, the music video of him like on some kind of rig being pulled ahead, black and white, very very foreign looking, and European film style, and just kind of that whole thing. That's when music videos like were kind of an art form where the artists would kind of let people kind of do things.
And admittedly, I think he said at one point that he hated making videos. It was not his thing, right? I think he never felt comfortable, but he felt like he had to do it. That was part of the machine, as it were, I guess. I think that's the way he put it. But boy, those videos they helped it along, didn't they? I mean, that watching that video made me buy the album. I mean, it was just, because that was a great song, but Henley was just a, cool looking dude anyway. Like he was like, like handsome guy. He was, he just kind of sold that, he's a little bit of a badass, I have to say. I mean, it's just, him and Fry definitely had that, that charisma to them that, the reason you like the Eagles is because of these guys and the personalities, and they're just sort of, and maybe the music didn't quite always match that, but but you just liked it anyway because they were who they were.
Yeah, they were rough and tumble, and just kind of get in there getting it done. And as you enter the 80s, you enter a new age.
Yeah,
things needed to change, and as a solo artist, the onus is on you now. And so it is about the vision of an artist and his willingness to kind of go in there and make something like Boys of Summer, which is heavily programmed. It just mainly, like I said, the drum machine, some synthesizer and just a little plinking guitar, the kind of thing. Very, very somewhat sparse, but that's using the tools in the right way. Much like Peter Gabriel did on Cell, right? And kind of embracing technology and kind of getting in there, but using it in a way that fits. That Don Henley wasn't trying to be like Don Henley wearing like a leather Michael Jackson red jacket in '83. No. He was using the technology with studio pros that were also kind of involved, and it was Mike Campbell that actually came up with that song. He came up with with that riff and he came up with the drum pattern. It showed it to Tom Petty, and Petty's like, no, we're kind of doing, they were doing Southern accents at the time. And he's like, nah, not really for me. So then it ended up going to Henley. And then Mike Campbell said that, he goes, I was in the car with Tom once and we were driving and Boys of Summer came on and I turned it off because I didn't want him to be mad. that we used it and it became a hit. And then he goes, I switched to another station and it was playing on the other station.
Oh boy.
And Tom was like, it's fine. Like it's all good. It's like, someone got, he's kind of mad. He didn't get a hit out of it, but it's kind of like,
but that's ironic because, it was around that time of Southern accents. So,
he's going electronic too with Dave Stewart.
With Dave Stewart. Right. And which is even a little weirder, I dare say, than Boys of Summer. So, yeah, so Tom decided to go a little further with that, right? So just kind of throwing that out there, but
so they were all experimenting at that time. It's just and then you get traditional stuff like not enough love in the world.
Yeah.
A nice standard kind of a nice piece of music that again this is one where he's kind of straining, but he's able to kind of.
Yeah, I like the vocals on this one.
Hit the upper register and hold it.
Yeah, it's almost like an R&B-ish type of song. Yes. It was like a soul, his attempt at soul, a little bit. Something more would be more what Glenn Frey would be doing. Sure. I think, for sure. But some of that influence there too. Maybe rubbing off on Don Henley working with Glenn Frey. Kind of helped that one along. But then there's, let's talk about the second track on the record with Mr. Buckingham, right? I mean,
Can't Make Love.
Can't Make Love. Yeah, that's a good one. I always enjoyed the. I don't think I can make. I don't know if you can, but I can't really find Lindsay's guitar in it. Can you?
It's not the typical. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a typical. You got to think 84 was like Go Insane, Lindsey Buckingham.
Okay, so boom, 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 boom.
So it really wasn't. It wasn't the blistering guitar. I think it was more reserved, and it might have been. They might have Wilburied it because there is guitar there. You can hear it, but it's certainly not.
Who's playing that baritone guitar? That is that? Who,
Buckingham is the only person that plays guitar on that song.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Henley's got Danny Korchmar does not appear on that song. Ben Montench is on keyboards, and Buckingham's is listed as guitars. So I'm going to have to assume that and Henley does not play guitar. David Page is piano. Bill Cuomo, Randy Newman is synthesizers and arrangements, and then a whole bunch of bass players. Besides Danny Korchmar, he's the only person that is guitars. And it's only that one song. So we have to assume that everything on there that you hear is Buckingham.
Okay.
And then his vocal is just kind of ghosting. Not enough to tell that it's Buckingham. You really got to kind of pick it out. You got to kind of listen.
Yeah.
Because he's really close to, like, they keep him really close to Henley. Like, they keep the vocals really close together.
Yeah, because he's way up there, too.
Yeah.
His voice is up in that higher register, too. So, yeah, you're right. But there's that slight breathiness of his voice that comes through, I think, on certain words. And, so you definitely tell he's there. But, yeah, it's not overwhelming, which is good because somebody's actually tempering Lindsay. He's they're kind of put, keeping him, at bay, because typically he would be all over the track, right? If he were,
well, I think when he does,
right?
I think he's more disciplined when he does session work. I don't think I think he does what people ask him, because we just heard that Miley Cyrus song with him and Nick Fleetwood. It's like, where is he? Like, what?
Yeah.
So I think he kind of gives people what they want when he does that, guitar for hire work. It's kind of like, unless I'm producing it or you're asking me to write the song, I'm going to give you what you want,
Yeah.
It's like, just, you can't make love. Yeah, that was written with, that was Henley and Korchmar. So
I was always excited when, those little crossovers happened, then you had, of course, Lindsay. And so that maybe the track is you think is better than you think that it actually is, but because of the personnel involved, it's one of those.
It gets extra points.
That's right.
Of course, you automatically
no wrong here. Yeah,
you like it 2 points more than you normally would. Like, even
That's
if
right.
it's shitty, you can be like, well, it's there's that one part when you hear him. So
that's definitely, and that's this album. It's definitely the case. I think with Henley, just in general, being that he was at the time, like I said, I was a big Eagles fan. So just being able to and to have all of these different artists, that we were just getting to know, by the way, with Tom Petty.
Yeah.
And then the Heartbreakers, and we were just getting into them. And, so it was a nice, it was a wonderful time for these Californian musicians to still have that camaraderie and that circle. And it was very easy to fall in love with this stuff.
Very collaborative. Just like I said, all these people just kind of drifting in and out and just kind of showing up or doing whatever. And I think it's like I said, I think this kind of works for Henley.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't know that there's a hodgepodge of people because the album has it, and there's 4 producers.
It's pretty much straightforward. I mean, like, you really can't tell that. I mean, I guess because it's all basically using, like you pointed out, like maybe the DX7's used very heavily, but the way people are playing it, but you really can't tell the difference in terms of the sound of it. It's not like there's different textures, but you could swear that it's just one person or somebody. It's not an army of people, and those are the kinds of albums that do better. I feel the more people involved, I feel like it becomes that much richer. That's why Gabriel was so successful at it too. So
it's got to have that cohesion, though. Like, it can, that kind of stuff. When you got a cast of thousands, it can kind of get away from you. So you really have to know what you're looking for, as opposed to, hey, let me get as many people that want to come in and play.
Who knew he had so much clout? Henley, right? It's like, hey, but he
probably slept with half of these people's girlfriends at one point or another.
I actually saw an interview with him. Did you see that interview he did with Billy Joel?
No.
It's on YouTube. It's Billy Joel was I think it's an older interview. It's one of those 92 Y sessions like they have in New York.
Yep.
So they're talking about the early days of, like, when Billy Joel was in California and how he was inspired, hanging out with people like Jackson Browne and all that kind of thing. And like Henley was saying, he goes, when I was with the Eagles, it was like, it was a committee. I wasn't the guy in charge, so I was one of them, but I was, there were several people, but in here, I'm the guy in charge. So that really kind of speaks to what his vision of what he wanted.
Yeah.
When you mentioned that, there has to be a steadiness to it. And of course, that probably has to do with Korchmar as well. But it just sort of...
and probably the overall production. I mean, it's not like there's a wild card producer in there. I mean, Danny Korchmar and Henley, they're of the same mind.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Campbell is pretty much in there. Greg Ledani worked with Fleetwood Mac, worked with, Jeff Healey, Warren Zevon, Toto, Jackson Browne. So he's the same, these guys are all of the same mind. They're probably just bringing different skill sets in, and maybe it was a timing thing where Mike Campbell wasn't available. So let's, get Greg Ledani come in and work on this part. It wasn't necessarily maybe chucking producers, but it might have been scheduling is why you see that as well. But,
Right.
but it's important that, but when you have musicians of this caliber,
Mhm.
you know, and you get something like a month of Sundays
Mhm.
lead then morphing into Sunset Grill,
Which is
just like those two songs together like that is worth the price of admission alone. Like that harkens to me, that harkens to, you know, the Sad Cafe, right?
Mhm.
And the
Yeah.
Last Resort, and like it shows that he's able to pluck that type of material out, right? That type of content, and update it without it sounding like, oh well, he's, you know, it's overblown with all the 80s stuff. It's
Mhm.
using the synthesizers in the right way,
In a controlled
as
environment.
as an
Yeah.
accent, as punctuation,
Yeah.
you know, and then letting them fall back, and then you have oh my god, Pino Palladino's fretless bass
The bass on that
on
song is
Sun. It's like it's like so squishy and like,
it's
you
like
know,
rubber.
it's like,
It
yeah,
sounds like rubber.
it's like a slinky or something. It's like, you
Yeah.
know, it's just so like fluid, but so
Yeah.
so stretchy or whatever it is. He's just really like laying
And
it in
it's
there,
and
and
it's
that's
so accented by that, just the entire bottom end of that part of like, brrr. It's like,
yeah,
again, it really kind of just brings that whole thing, just, it's almost like leaking down. It's that is probably my favorite track. It's
yeah.
definitely my favorite track.
It
That
adds
Month of Sundays is, yeah.
it adds like that, like Pino's work on that adds like it has like it brings it like a jazzy feel to it.
It does.
You know,
Yeah.
which counterpoints the DX7 and the,
And he's
you know,
not doing a lot of like
no,
fancy fret work or anything like that. It's
little
just
little phrases.
yeah.
Ah,
And that's all it takes. You know, it's atmosphere is what he's creating there. And
ah,
it's the surrealism of that. That's what makes that song work for me. It's because you know me and my weird shit, but it's like, but the song is about that. It's about a guy in the wrong place and just sort of like not fitting in and just sort of being, you know, and so you kind of get that in your head. It's very, and also very, again, like our Lord Huron stuff, that we talk about all the time, very cinematic and just sort of,
atmospheric. Like
yeah,
he,
yeah,
you know, like I said, yeah, especially when you have a month of Sundays before that, which is about a guy who you know, worked his whole life, you know,
mhm,
farming and
yeah,
worked with his hands, and sees that, you know, his grandson and these other ones just aren't. It's just
yeah,
times are changing. You
very
know,
Americana,
yeah,
very,
very, you know,
yep,
and then it kind of, you get this like little interlude, and then you get like the darkness
yeah,
and the starkness of Sunset Grill, and it just it really it paints a very vivid picture,
mhm,
because of that, you know, the synthesizer, you know, dun, 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 dun. But then that goes away, like when the vocals come in, it's like that kind of goes away. It comes back when it's needed, but
yeah,
again, he uses this stuff tastefully, which is the key. It's not like, here's a new toy, I'm gonna just be playing it, you know, throughout the whole thing. It's like, let me use it to
mhm,
play to my strengths with it, which is him almost like that singing, narrating
yeah,
style that he has with those type of storytelling songs, right? It's
mhm,
kind of, he's, you know, it's like a very narrative style,
yeah,
and using the instrumentation and the arrangements, you know, in a smart way. Yeah, this is an album of the 80s, and sure, it sounds like it, but in some ways but it's not the most excessive.
no,
It's not Black Cars,
no,
you
no,
know, which is,
yeah, it's not,
you know, which is kind
it's
of on
not
all the way on, you know, if we've got a pendulum of stuff that we relate
right,
to, that's probably the furthest
yeah.
swing
It's the
out there.
song that got me, like, with this record. I don't remember the first time I heard it. It might have been when I actually bought the album. Um, but I knew that was it. That was
Mhm.
the clincher for me. This,
Yeah.
and I would hit repeat on this thing so many times when I finally got the CD. And just those two songs alone, I would always. It's just, it's beautifully done. It's just, you know, it's the highlight of the album. Boys of Summer by itself is an iconic song, a great way to kick it off, but just sort of, and then you got all these pleasant little tunes here and there. And then just like, and then that to me was the anchor, was like, yeah, it ain't going to get any better than this, So,
yeah. And oddly enough, I'll have to go look. A Month of Sundays does not appear on the vinyl.
No, it does not.
It was cut for time, as they say.
Yeah. It was the B-side to Boys of Summer.
Yeah, but it was on the cassette, and obviously it was on the CD. But I never had the vinyl until I picked it up. But now it's like, you know what? I got to double check. But then they did a re-release, and it was Henley did a re-release of the album, and it was a double album, so it could fit everything.
Mm-hmm.
Land of the Living is another one. I kind of like that. It's Henley. It's a positive Henley song that is nice. Like, he's not usually, like I said, he's at his best when he's discontented and commenting on like the human condition and America. Like he doesn't hold back, whether it's life in the fast lane or anything like that. But Land of the Living is just kind of like I want to be in the land of the living. He sent you like, it's almost like, I want to be here. It's kind of like important. And it's just kind of like a nice, it's a nice way to close the album out after all that other stuff. He kind of ends it on like this nice positive.
And it's the one song that it does have harmony in it.
Yeah.
So there's that really nice harmony with, who's is it?
Oh, you get everybody. It's, let's see. Well, Pino is on it on bass. You get Patty Smythe.
On it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's on, she's on Building the Perfect Beast. She's on All She Wants to Do Is Dance, Sunset Grill, and Land of the Living. And Martha Davis is on, she's on All She Wants to Do Is Dance also. From Martha Davis from the Motels.
Yeah, see, I mean, that was huge too, that track. And
yeah. So, I mean, again, his scathing like indictments, that was like, about what was going on in the government, and just like he's, it could be hard to take, because then he came out with End of the Innocence after, which was more, so it can wear, he's got to watch, and End of the Innocence, he started to lean a little bit towards like New York Minute and Last Worthless Evening. So it was some more ballady stuff.
Yeah.
So he's got to watch, because it can become too preachy. But I think this album has the right amount of bite to it that you want, that, and especially for when it came out, there was that, the Reagan era. And there was that sarcasm of everything isn't as great as we're being told it is. Someone's got to say something about it, and Henley was kind of, the antithesis of, or the darker undertone of John Mellencamp. Right. And
that's a good one. That's a good analogy.
And Springsteen, like Born in the USA was coming out at the same time.
Sure. Yeah.
And this was kind of like the darker underbelly of that experience. Not saying that America sucks, just bringing to light that there's some hypocrisy. That goes on. And All She Wants to Do Is Dance is kind of, and kind of calling that out a little bit, and like I said, that's, I think when Henley is, that's his secret sauce. But if you don't have someone like Fry bouncing off that and countering it, that's where he needs to be, then it becomes a balancing act, because you don't want an album of gripe.
No,
so
it starts heading into like Roger Waters territory, or
exactly. So that's why stuff like You Can't Make Love and Not Enough Love in the World and Land of the Living really kind of help temper temper the batter, as it were, to kind of smooth it out a little bit, so it's not all jagged edges, and it makes those songs bite even more, because when he does slow down the tempo and kind of go into that mode, you're paying attention, right? It's kind of like,
and those were always the best songs, even with Eagles. It's like, again, I still think of Last Resort as one of my favorites, off a Hotel kind of, and Wasted Time. Both of those tracks just, always get me. But again, but you have that eclectic nature. You have that variation of stuff going on. You have, other voices being heard and other points of view. So it is, so sometimes, maybe you have to take Henley in doses, maybe it's just, maybe, could this be, to listen to him all the way through, like from, I Can't Stand Still to End the Innocence.
I don't think I do his whole discography. Like,
right. But I mean, I remember absolutely adoring End of the Innocence when it came out, and simply because it just felt like a strong, because he got away from the synthesizer thing and more, back to like the sort
Hornsby.
of yeah. I kind of dug some of the stuff he was doing there, but you're right. I mean, there were perhaps one too many ballads, one too many, but then he does the song with Axl Rose, right? I mean, he does some harder edge stuff with some real guitar and punch to it. It's like, whoa, now we're back in like, rock and roll territory, which hadn't been heard.
Angry Don Henley.
Yeah, exactly. Which was different. This is not something he typically did either. Ever since.
What's that? I Will Not Go Quietly, or I will not back down. I Will Not Go Quietly. I think the name.
Right.
Yeah.
So
gave him his street cred working with Axl Rose.
And again, a plethora of musicians on that record too. Melissa Etheridge is on that, along with some of the folks that appeared, some of the female singers that appear on this record are also on that, but also like adding to the fray, people like Melissa Etheridge. And, at the time she was pretty hot with her first two records.
Yeah. Wayne Shorter is on that album.
Yeah. I mean, some jazz artists. Yeah. I mean, there's probably a wider array of
Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
Who wasn't anything yet. Actually, when did this come out? This came out 91?
89.
89. Sheryl Crow didn't hit till like Tuesday Night Music Club didn't hit till like 93, 94, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Edie Brickell is on it. Ivan Neville, Charlie Drayton. I mean, Valerie Carter. And then his regular cast of characters: Pino Palladino, Waddy, Danny Korchmar, Page, all those guys. And Bruce Hornsby on End of the Innocence, which you can't at that time. You could not. Bruce Hornsby had that sound, that electric piano sound locked in, like the way it is. It was like that was like,
yeah.
It's like that. He was the only guy that was doing that. It's like kind of
But that was an album that I really loved too. When that debut of his, and that's the way I still love that song to this day. And again, that a very very sort of downbeat look at America, sort of in that same vein of looking at America from a different lens,
cynical. And End of the Innocence was absolutely another political screed, because there was still, from his point of view, still Republicans were still in the White House. It went from Reagan to Bush.
Yeah.
And he was still, he still had an axe to grind. So, this Building the Perfect Beast. I used to think, or I felt like you. I used to like End of the Innocence better.
Yeah,
but I think this has more staying power. I think Building the Perfect Beast for me now, if I'm going to grab one, I'm going to grab this one.
That makes sense. I mean, I think
because of the starkness of it. I think because of
bold statement.
Yeah.
And I think the music was very obviously using the tools of the day to accentuate the things he was talking about. This is a very 80s album, and that's what he leaned into. So, but we're going to do it. We're going to use this stuff to make that point. Because this is the 80s now. We're talking about 80s politics. We're talking about that kind of thing. So, what better way to reflect that than to have that particular sound, and instead of acoustic guitars, right? Or so
absolutely.
So I think it's an artistic statement, and for sure, I don't think it's just a sense of just obviously not being lazy or anything like it's just a definite sense of, this is what I want it to sound like, kind of thing. And, and in the Innocence, you could say, some songs are just very mediocre in that, not in a way that it, the production isn't bad or anything. It's just, but it's more straightforward. It's just very, it's layered. They're nice productions. There's just, but it's, but it's, it's tempered, and it's just a lot of guitar, a lot of, just, and then that stuff tends to wear thin after, but when you play something like this, like Sunset Grill, it's still like has a lot to say, musically speaking. It's like bold. It's like, I remember playing this thing, cranking that shit up. My dad walked into the kitchen. He's like, "What the hell is that? Why do you listen to such weird music? That's not music." Well, I'm like, yeah, but but the point is that it makes you, if it pissed him off, if it annoyed him, that was the point.
Yeah,
I feel it creates a mood that is like, it may not be the most pleasant listens, and that's and that's exactly what he was trying to achieve.
It still cuts. Right. And I think that's in looking in the rearview mirror. Yeah, I think Building the Perfect Beast was probably more of the statement.
Yeah,
and then End of the Innocence was him kind of sliding into a more comfortable zone.
Yeah,
right after having achieved kind of that.
Right. So now I have these these really nice contemporary artists that I'm working with, co-collaborators, songwriters. So now I can make a great album, song wise, and just let's see how many hits we can get at. And he did. He got quite a few. But it wasn't as bold, I don't think, and it wasn't as sort of adventurous in that regard. So, but still a fine album, it's still a great album. I could still, take it out and listen to it, but you're right. I think this is the one that, you may want to grab for its time and for all time.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not just a nostalgic point, but I think it kind of looks ahead, and it feels very timeless in that way. I don't think it's an album that doesn't hold up from the 80s. It's just so 80s sound. No, again, the point.
Yeah, I think it's because of the lyrical content. Again, he was still, like you said, it was kind of, there was a looking back in the lyrics, but then there's also the looking forward towards the uncertain future and what that's going to be. And those are universal themes. It's not like he was talking about, like 80s tropey things in the lyrics that, he was using the technology to get the point across, but the lyrical content is universal. And I think that's why it stands. So even though when you go back and you're listening, okay, this is solidly an album from the 80s, it doesn't make a difference because it's not that type of thing. It's not like listening to, Safety Dance.
Yeah.
Right. Which is like, okay, that's solidly 80s too, but for a totally different reason, and it is a little bit more disposable. Nothing against Safety Dance. I love that song.
Yeah.
But there's a different reason there, and even though they're from the same era, there's two totally different things. And Henley is adapting the tools and continuing on his journey from Eagles, and it's not like I'm going to change what I talk about. It's like, no, it's still the same Don Henley.
And you'll find a lot of critics change, if they were not that keen on it at the time. I think I read of some reviews, like they changed their minds about it, that the album holds up. And there's a lot of people that say that it still resonates.
Yeah.
So so Building the Perfect Beast might be the perfect title for it, because he achieved it,
Yeah.
So.
He absolutely did. Like I said, I think it's it was great when it came out, and then I think it kind of ebbed and flowed, and kind of like, okay, it just kind of receded. Other things happened. Eagles regrouped, and you're all keyed in on that, and I'm glad that we revisited it, because I think it's an important, absolutely in the shadow of Born in the USA, which came out at the same time. I mean, that just kind of eclipsed everything. And I think this is a nice counterpoint. If you're really into that album, if you're really into like Born in the USA and that kind of a thing, it's a nice counterpoint album to it, kind of handling the same material in some way, but also kind of making a point and getting a statement across. So I think it's available. It's been remastered once, I think. And then, like I said, re-released on vinyl. It's on all the streamers. For some reason on YouTube Music, it's not complete. There's 2 songs that are missing, which is odd.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I was like, wait, why? How come Building the Perfect Beast? How come where's the title track?
The title track is not on
It's like, wait a second, and you're not drinking enough, which which is another.
Yeah.
Which was written by them and then was covered by a country artist, and it didn't really do. It didn't do as good, or was kind of passed over. But Don Henley, Building the Perfect Beast, 1984. I think we've said everything we can say about it. It's just a great marker in our timeline. Right before the upheaval, before all the crazy stuff would happen with Tom Petty and just all that extra set of collaborators. This was kind of one of the early versions of the Southern California collaborating group, kind of getting together and rallying around. And all those guys were just around. It's like Toto. Oh yeah, they're probably recording an album. Just come on over, work on a couple songs, and just do it. Yeah. I love like hearing about that stuff, or I love reading about. I loved reading. Yeah. The personnel that was on the. I'm surprised Lukather. I'm like, where is Steve Lukather? Like he's the only guy that's really missing is Lukather. It's like, you've got pretty much everybody that should be on this album, and like Lukather is not there. Like it's like where was he was doing Beat It. That's why. That's doing right. The guitar work for Beat It, before Eddie Van Halen laid down the solo. So so that's going to do it, I think, for this episode. I think we put a nice bow on. Definitely check this out.
We did indeed. Yep. I'm glad to have liked albums like this at the time too.
Yeah,
we weren't so. Perhaps we didn't appreciate some of the things that he was singing about, at the time. Maybe we were, we just didn't care about the politics, and they were just great songs. But now, you definitely get that in inside you, and you're
getting more out of it.
And that's what makes the album hold up that much more. So
absolutely, it's the message. It's less, and I think that's what. Just to kind of wrap that up, I think that's what kind of saves it from being an 80s album, right? Or being thought of like that, is because it's Henley and because he's still doing what he's doing. He didn't do like a 90125 and totally reconfigure the whole, which worked for them. But like he didn't reconfigure the whole, like what Don Henley was and come back as this electronic guy. He just used it. He used it in a smart way. So that's going to do it. Tell us what you thought about Don Henley's Building the Perfect Beast. You can hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and if you're listening on your favorite podcast provider, there's a little message us or fan mail. It's called something, but that's a one-way message, so we will get it, but we will not be able to respond. But let us know if you liked the album, if you thought it was something cool. We absolutely did. It is of its time, but it's a classic.
It is bona fide.
Bona fide. Bona fide. So yeah, go ahead and do that. And if you're new and you made it this far, go ahead and just follow us as well. You'll be doing us a big favor if you follow us. This way you get notified when new episodes come out, and this way they're hot and fresh off the rack. Decide if it's one you want to check out, or you wait till the next one comes, or even go back and listen. We've got a humongous back catalog of episodes that you can go through. When I look through, I'm like, oh my God, did we really talk about this much stuff?
We did it.
Yeah. We have, and we will continue to do it. So we encourage you to indulge and go ahead and binge or do a few at a time, or pick and, kind of peck and type and pick things out that you like. You don't have to go in a row. They're all there for you. So that'll do it for this episode of 3324 Podcast. For Eric, this has been Dean, and we will catch you on the flip side.
You've been listening to the 3324 Podcast with Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber. You can find us on your favorite podcast provider, so please like, subscribe, and rate to become a part of the 3324 family. Your feedback is important, so make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at 3324 Podcast and on Twitter at 3324P to join the conversation.